You're listening to Behind the Reality. Real people, real stories, real life.
Hey guys, my name is Alisha White. I was a runner-up on Britain's Next Top Model 2010 Cycle 6, and I also appeared on America's Next Top Model Cycle 18 in 2012, and I was a top 4 runner-up.
I remember you. Do you know what? I'm not going to lie. I remember you from the Nickelodeon days. You know, So, you don't know about the flow. Yeah.
Oh my God, that has made my day. Oh my God. You have been consistently knowing the things that I've done from young. Wow, oh my God, wow. I'm really excited to help you out. I'm sure this interview in itself will give you the insight into what it's truly like. And I'm going to be as raw as I possibly can. I'm not going to swear or anything like that, but I'm just going to be as raw as I can so they can get the fine details and stuff.
So I'll ask the first question then. How did you end up on Britain's Next Top Model?
How I ended up on Britain's Next Top Model. At the time, I was working with a woman who was actually a model in Australia. I was doing some part-time work. I'd been modeling since I was 12 anyway, but I'd kind of stopped because I was really into trainers and clothes, and I just wanted to make money. So I was working 2 jobs at the time. And she was like, "What do you think about going on Britain's Next Top Model?" And at the time, I was a bit like, "No, I'm not interested. Black people don't really get far on these types of competitions." At the time, I was quite ruthless as well, really into my own things and what I wanted. And I just thought my personality is just not going to work for a show like that. And I don't want to be stereotyped, the aggressive black girl or anything like that, to be honest. I was a bit afraid of the whole reality TV. Plus, I'm from South London, so no one in South at that time was exposing themselves to TV or cameras or anything like that. And I knew going on the show would expose me more than what I wanted to be exposed. But she ended up asking me questions every day on the application form, which I had no idea. She would just throw them in conversation and would write down the answers. And I think maybe 2 or 3 weeks later, she said, "Oh, I filled out your application form for Britain's Next Top Model." And I was like, "No, you didn't. I don't remember filling out any forms or anything." And she was like, "I've been asking you questions from the form literally throughout the whole couple of weeks, and you filled out your application form and I've sent it off." And that's how I applied for Britain's Next Top Model.
So how many auditions did you have to go through to actually make it onto the show?
To be honest, I don't remember how many auditions I had, but I know that it was more than maybe 4 or 5.
So it's quite a long process then.
Yeah, it was an extremely long process. People think, it's just one day because that's what they show on TV. It's one day, the girls come in, they line up in a long line outside on a cold, frosty day, hoping to be American or Britain's Next Top Model. And it's not like that at all. You actually fill in an application form, which is 30 pages long. And then after that, you're invited in to see the producers and the makers of the show. And then after that, you're brought back again and again and again. It's a long process. Trust me, it takes a lot out of you as well.
Yeah, I can imagine. You'd done child modelling and things like that before, but had you ever thought about doing reality TV before this came up, or was this your first taste of reality?
To be honest, as a child model, I always wanted to do acting. I'm going to be honest with you. At the beginning of my modelling career as a child at 12, I never even thought modelling was something I could do because I never thought I was actually attractive or pretty. I was teased a lot at school, so modelling for me was not something I thought about, although my mum's friends would always say, "You should get her into modelling, she's really tall and skinny." But I never heard pretty, so I assumed that all models were the ones that I saw were really tall, slim and pretty, and I just thought I'm tall and slim, but I just don't have the pretty with it. So I just wanted to be an actress because I thought, actresses come in all shapes, colours, sizes. You don't have to be particularly very pretty or anything like that. So I would just be an actress. And I studied performing arts in school, and I was really good in primary school at performing arts. I always played Mary in the Christmas play. I was the star of every single Christmas play we had. So I was like, "Oh, I'm going to be an actress." And then I never really wanted to do reality TV, only because at school I wasn't bad, but I was a bit cheeky, and I was thinking, they're going to just expose me for my bad behaviour at school and so on and so forth. But it was not like that at all. So yeah, I ended up doing reality TV. It wasn't a thought, wasn't a consideration, but I did it.
People can often question how real reality TV is. How aware were you of the cameras when you were filming the show?
Okay, this is how I would put reality TV in terms of how real it is and the cameras and so on and so forth. Me personally, and I can only speak for myself, me personally, I'm not just a real person in general. I don't care if someone's watching me or observing me, I'm going to be real to myself, because for me, it's a disjustice to myself if I'm not real with myself. So at the beginning, obviously, when you get into the house and you notice that cameras are following you around and you're wearing a mic 24 hours a day, obviously you're aware of that. But for me, by the second day, I forgot the cameras were there. Literally, I was just simply just being myself, saying what I want to say, interacting with people who I wanted to interact with. I had no recollection at times that the cameras were even there, because you get used to them. You get used to seeing the same cameraman holding the same camera every single day, and they don't really get in your way unless something big is happening in the house, or someone's having an argument, or people throwing tantrums, or there's been something major that's happened. But me personally, I was not aware of the camera. Now, how real reality TV is, I would say it's 50-50, because you can only show yourself, but you don't know how they're going to edit things. You could roll your eyes today at something silly, like there's no peanut butter in the cupboard, and they'll have you rolling your eyes in the next clip at another girl, which wasn't for that clip at all. So you don't really have control of editing, and that's why I say 50-50. You could be yourself all day long, but you don't know where they're going to put those clips. Yeah.
Do you think that the editing portrayed you accurately, and were you happy with what was shown of you?
You know what? I feel like the editing did portray me accurately in Britain's Next Top Model. In America's Next Top Model, I feel like they sort of had me I don't know, I just felt personally in America's Next Top Model, I wasn't myself anyway. I was suffering from clinical depression when I went into that show. So the essence of me in that show is not me at all. So they just edited me to the point where they could. But, I mean, for me personally, Britain was more of an accurate representation of who I was as a person and who I am as an individual. So I was really happy with the edit. Everyone at school at the time and at college was and even when people meet me now, they always say, what I saw of you in Britain's Next Top Model is even better than what we see in real life.
Yeah. And I think one of my favourite moments of Britain's Next Top Model was when you went on the go-sees and you were laughing at Joy's walk, cracking up at that. Was that you being yourself, or was that hyped up for the cameras of it?
Okay, let me tell you something. It's 50-50, because in reality, I love Joy, right? And what they failed to show is when I was in the car and I was saying to her, Joy, your walk, girl, and we're laughing, we're bantering back at each other, she's like, Alisha, I know. I'm like, Joy, you're walking like the Walking Dead. But they didn't show that clip, and I think they were looking for a funny moment, which they got, obviously, but at the same time, they didn't show the moment where I was actually real with her and was like, listen, your walk, it needs work. My walk is not great. My walk didn't start off great in the beginning of the show either. But, I mean, let's go home. I think I remember saying to her, let's go, when we go back to the penthouse, let's practice. And she's like, yeah, will you help me? And I was like, yeah, come on, we're all in it together sort of thing. But obviously they're not going to show those bits because it is a competition. And you can't have girls trying to help other girls. Or you can't have girls creating bonds and friendships and stuff. That doesn't sell. That doesn't make TV exciting. It doesn't make anyone want to watch. It's just like a group of girls hanging out and being friends, and they didn't want that. So luckily for me, I feel like the public kind of took it funny, because I feel like my comments were accurate to a certain extent, but at the same time, you could see what type of bond me and Joy have from the Hollyoaks situation where I got drunk and she had to look after me. Me and Joy are not enemies at all. Joy is probably one of the nicest people I've ever met on the show, period. So for me, it was good because they got what they wanted, but at the same time, was it completely and utterly true? No. But yeah, it is what it is.
Yeah, and then that kind of leads me on to my next bit. We touched on it a little bit already, but as a black woman, were you conscious of not being stereotyped into a category?
As a black girl at the time, yeah, I was super conscious about how I was going to be, classed in in the show and how they would portray me, because one, I live in South London, which is one of, at the time they considered it like one of the worst places to live in London, and there was a lot of knife crime and gun crime going on at the time, and I had friends that were in gangs, so I was never part of a gang, but some of my closest friends were in gangs, so I was afraid that they were gonna like portray me as this like South London gangbanger girl, like, and I was like, first of all, I can't help who I go to school with. I can't help who I have bonds with. I can't help who I have genuine friendships with. That's one. And then two, on top of that, like my dad, I live in a two-parent household, which a lot of people do not know, and I always have. And my dad didn't want to be filmed for the show at all because he doesn't like cameras. He's not interested in having gratification of my fame. Like, he's not interested in that. And I thought, like, there was a time where they asked me, will your dad be coming for filming? And they kept, pulling for that. And I was like, my dad's not interested in that. Again, I thought I was going to have that whole, like, South London girl, no dad, blah, 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 living in struggle, blah, blah. I live in one of the nicest bits in Clapham, which they couldn't, again, it's something they couldn't use against me, because they all came to my house. The producers have come to my house, cameramen have come to my house. They've seen where I live and stuff. They tried to have a filming session at my secondary school, because it is in Brixton. And then when they realised what secondary school it was and how prestige, like, my headmaster is, they were like, actually, can't use this, because it doesn't fit, like, the storyline that we're trying to, So, of course, I was, like, terrified. I was afraid. But at the same time, I was like, it's me. It's my life. Like, I'm not going to hide anything from anyone. Like, it is what it is.
Yeah, definitely. And what was it like being judged on your physical appearance and getting given makeovers and that kind of thing?
Before I went on the show, I didn't even like makeup. The only thing I used to do in terms of makeup was eyeliner and a lip gloss or Vaseline. That's how far it went for me. So obviously, when I first got on the show, and I think it was the first time I actually met Elle, like, to speak to her. I think I was wearing like a gold swimsuit, and she was saying how, like, pretty and beautiful I was. I was like shocked, and I'm going to be honest with you, because other than my mum and my dad and a few of my friends, no one really told me I was like beautiful, pretty. And obviously, coming from such a beautiful woman herself was like a huge compliment. And this is not something that she just told me on camera; that she actually told me this off camera as well. So I knew it was genuine. But then obviously we had other judges like Julian McDonald, who would say that I don't look expensive and stuff like that, which is a connotation used with black women all the time, that we don't look expensive or we're not worthy, or, black women shouldn't want more than what they get and stuff like that. And at the time, I'm not going to lie to you, it broke my heart a little bit, because I was thinking, what a horrible thing to say about a young girl. I don't have millions and millions and millions of pounds in the bank. My name's not Julian McDonald. I don't own a clothing line. I don't have money like that to look the way how I see myself in my head. Like, honestly, there was times where I wanted to say to him, like, Julian, do you really think this is the person that I see in my head when I think about me as a brand and as an individual? No. Like, I do see myself as that expensive girl. Not because I wear expensive clothes or anything, but I'm rich in spirit, period. And the fact that he couldn't see that as well really irritated me, because for me, it's not just about material things. It's about being rich in spirit, mentally, physically, and everything else. And he just didn't see that. I don't think he saw, like, my determination and how ambitious and passionate I was for fashion and wanting to win. And, like, I think for him it was more of a materialistic thing. And I think out of all the judges, he got onto my looks the most and judged me the most about how I looked. And it was a lot. Might I say now, 10 years later, I understand what he was saying to a certain extent. Like, I think he knows that as black women, we have to do the absolute most to stand out, because we are overlooked, and it's a proven fact that the black woman is the most unloved flower in the whole entire world. So I think what he was doing was tough love, where he was basically telling me, you need to look more than what you're doing now. Yeah, it's all good having a great personality and a good spirit, but, people judge you of how you look. And if you can capture them with how you look, then you can share all the other amazing qualities about yourself with the world. And it was just tough love, and it was difficult at the time. but I understand it now a
Yeah.
bit better.
And talking on that, like, do you think some of the judges' comments, they weren't done to help you, they were just done to humiliate you, or do you think they were always trying to be critical and helpful? Because I know, for example, in one of the runway challenges, he called you walk like a curly whirly or something. I don't even know how you can walk like a curly whirly, but
Exactly. I didn't even know what it was. To be honest, when judges were making comments in regards to my looks and my body and stuff like that, in regards to Julian's comment calling me a swirly whirly, first of all, I don't even know what a swirly whirly is. That's first off. Second, what? Like, if you want me to learn how to do something and you want me to learn quick, give me an example that I can relate to, because I can't relate to a curly whirly. And if I am generally walking like a curly whirly, tell me what I should be walking like, because it's like some of the things were done. I think some of the comments that the judges made were made for TV, and some were made because they generally love you and care about you, and you know they do grow a bond with you because you are with them for a long time. But it's like, me personally, I think every judge has their role. Like, you're going to be the mean one, you're going to be sometimes mean but sometimes sweet, and you know, Elle, you're going to be neutral, and I think they all have their like little roles, and you kind of just have to, you know, not really take it on board. After like the third week of sitting in front of Julia McDonald and having every week tell me I'm not expensive and don't look expensive, you just don't look expensive. Like, it kind of just goes over your head. You're just like, all right, cool.
And so that kind of leads me on to my next one. Do you think shows like Top Model, they create like unrealistic ideals of beauty standards for particularly like young girls watching? Do you think it's a platform where girls can look up to and aspire to be like the people that are on the show, or do you think it kind of creates an unrealistic image for them?
When I was doing reality TV, which was in 2010, I felt like all the girls on my show were relatable to somebody in the world. Like, we had Olivia, she's mixed. She didn't know who her dad was. She was adopted. Like, she had a story that a lot of girls were living at that time. Then there was me, South London, black girl, always wanted to do modelling, but just didn't really know how to put her first foot forward and stuff like that. There was someone on there for everyone. We had everything on our show. We had beautiful mixed race girls, black girls, white girls, all types of girls. So for me personally, I felt like my group, the group of girls that we had, were relatable, and I think we were all so different and had a vast range of different personalities and stuff like that. However, now, when I watch things like Love Island, I'm like, I don't relate to none of these girls. Not one. Like, it's almost like everybody has to look the same, be the same, talk the same, wear the same clothes, shop at Fashion Nova or Pretty Little Thing or Misguided, which there's nothing wrong with that. But it's like, if you're not doing that, then you're not it. You're not hit. Like, you can't sit with us.
So you think reality TV, the casting aspect, it has become less real, do you think?
Absolutely. It's uniform.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, for example, some may disagree, but if you do look at shows like Love Island, and I know we're talking about Top Model, everyone is a clone of a contestant from last year. It's like they try to find doubles. I feel like the UK do not like anything new. They do not like anything fresh. And they do not like anything different. They just clone. They just clone you. Like, they just find someone that was like that person. I saw it when our season was ended. Season 7 girls were clones of us. There was clones of different type of girls that were like us in the show. Because I just think it's a TV thing. I think it's a producer thing. I think it's a Western society thing where they're not comfortable with anything new because they don't know how to deal with it.
Yeah. Did Top Model affect your body confidence at all?
No, do you know what? I've never been on Top Model didn't affect my body confidence because I've never been on a diet, and I was naturally slim anyway. I've tried to put on weight so many different times in my life, and it just never happens, or it just goes to the wrong places, and I'm just like, just forget about it. So no, it didn't really affect my body. I know, and for some of the girls on the show it did, but for me personally, no. Plus, I'm from the Caribbean. We don't really play those games in terms of, like, losing weight and being thick thin and stuff like that. Like, They will tell you to eat or force you to eat. So, yeah.
So normally, the panel of expert judges decide who wins Top Model. But in your series, they introduced a twist where the public voted for the winner. and they ended up crowning someone else. Now, you were pegged by a lot of people as one of the people that they thought were going to win. And now the public end up deciding that someone else deserved to win. How did you know about this beforehand, and how did you feel about this?
Oh my God. The live final was a shock to my system. I've never really spoken about this before because it's like it irks me. We found out about it the same time you guys did on the show. So when you watched our last episode in Malaysia where they said, oh girls, we've got this amazing thing, we're going to do a live final and the public is going to choose their winner. That was the same day I found out. So I felt like all that time I was fighting for my life, for my place, to get to the final, to be told someone else is going to do it. Someone else is going to make the decision.
Wow.
Now, with that being said, yes, it was fun at the time. You know, the lead up, we were going to press events, we were doing this, we were doing that. I got phoned back to my family. It was time for me to like reassess. But then at the same time, you're thinking, wait, this don't make sense. Out of the history of the whole show, you decide to do a live final on cycle 6. Why? Like, why would you choose to do this at this time? The bookies in my area, and I heard in a few other areas, I was the leading to win. People were putting money down like no one's business. People were calling. People told me in different countries, America, all sorts of places, that they were calling, making calls, because my mum was telling the whole, like, our family members in, you know, in different countries and stuff, and they were like, it's not even aired here yet, but we're still going to call. So I know for a fact that in terms of me winning was rigged, because there's absolutely, Brixton went on lockdown that night. Like, people were furious. Like, what the hell happened here? I don't even know what happened. They said there was a room of people making phone call, where the phone lines were. I never saw this room. I don't know if this room even existed. At the time, the CEO of Living TV at the end of the event came up to me and said, he don't know what happened. Why did they choose to do this? This is ridiculous. So it's deeper than like what a lot of people think. Like, obviously, when people meet me, they're like, you were robbed. Like, I can't believe this. Like, even until this day, it still irks me. But what people don't understand is that it irritates you, but it's heartbreaking to someone like me as well, because even though you guys were rooting for me, I was doing this for you. I wasn't even just doing it for me. I was doing it for every single black girl that was told they were ugly, skinny, not worth it. Every single black boy that thought, you know what, yeah, I'll never make it out of the hood. Like, it's not going to happen for me. And I feel like they robbed me of that opportunity.
Yeah.
They don't give, a Western society don't really give us anything anyway. We always have to fight. We're never handed anything on a plate. Anytime we get a chance, it's either robbed from us or someone tells us that it's because of them why we have what we have. That stuff got so annoying for me. I said, this is my one chance just to show my community and everybody who has supported me throughout the years that we can do this. Like, and I didn't get any, you know, help. Everything you see on those shows, all those photo shoots, all those poses, that was all me. Like, that came from my spirit, literally, my core, because I was so passionate about what I was doing on the show. So to have them say, you know, the public's going to vote and then pass the blame onto the public, like, oh, the public didn't vote for you, is an absolute lie. When the live was actually going on and Elle hugged me, there's a picture of it. Elle whispered in my ear, what the hell happened? This wasn't meant to happen. To me now, that seems like it was just fake talk. They knew exactly what was going to happen. And I knew Tiffany was going to win because the cameras were facing her family before the winner was even announced. It was all pre-planned. It was all done. Even the presenter at the time, I forgot his name, he's such a nice man. Like, he was so shocked that after the show, he came up to me and said, I'm really sorry. I'm heartbroken for you, but I'm not staying for the after party. I'm going home. This is not the result I wanted.
Wow.
But nobody talks about the afterlife of Britain's Next Top Model and the effects that it has on the individual just in general. Because what they did is they took that opportunity from me and then blamed it on the public. So I would always be mad with people. That it's deeper than just modelling. It's psychological.
One thing that I want to touch on is after the show finished, so the other two finalists, Tiffany and Joy, they both got signed to the winner's agency. Yeah. And if I remember correctly, I don't think you got that same offer, did you?
Well, a little story that nobody knows. When I left the show, I met up with these two amazing twins called Bea and Jodie. They actually run a casting agency called iCasting. They asked me to come into their office and they said, listen, We don't know what the hell happened on that show. But all we know is that you get signed. So we're going to send you to all the agencies. We've got good connections with them. I went to Models once, and I was guaranteed a contract. Yeah, we want to sign you, Alisha. We love you, blah, blah. I think I was signed for 24 hours. I was dropped the next day. Like, the things that I've gone through after the show, no one will ever know, because I don't openly talk about it, because I don't want to dishearten anyone.
Yeah.
Like, wants to do this or wants to, but then at the same time, I get so many people telling me you have to tell your story. Models One had me on a runaround. Yeah, we love you. Oh no, actually, the book has thought that, you're not really. What? Yeah, you just handed me a contract and said, yeah, we love you, blah, blah, and then you dropped me the next day.
Do you think that race played a factor in it at all?
I don't think race played a factor in this one. What I think played a factor in it was they were scared. They love to come with this whole, we don't know how to market black girls. Black girls are so hard to market. We don't know where to put you. But yet still black girls are running rings around us in America. There's black girls right now that are getting major campaigns, major commercials. So don't talk rubbish talking about you don't know how to market black girls. America is your blueprint. If you don't know how, look at how any other black girl is marketed in America, and you'll know how to do it. We've got the same brands they do. But you'll see in any environment that you work in, there's always that little underdog in the workplace, in the classroom, in anywhere you go that people underestimate. Like, if I give this person a chance, they just might make it. And if they make it, then they will hinder anyone else's chances that I have to work with. So in the industry, they have bookers, and bookers look after a few girls. So they don't want me to be making all the money. They've got all these other girls that they need to be, giving jobs to and making sure that they're good as well. I think that the agencies and the industry fear me because I know too much. I know way too much, to the point where I'm so happy with the way how society has gone now, where girls are now making a platform for themselves on Instagram. They're calling themselves models and they've never gone to a class in their life. I'm not mad at it. I'm not mad at it at all. Because why put your trust in a booker that will use and abuse you and drop you the next day?
So on the show, you also discussed your dyslexia, and you spoke about how that affected your childhood and stuff. Did you think this was important to address on the show?
Absolutely, because I think with me being dyslexic, I didn't learn to read until I was 12, so it was a huge thing for me. And I said to myself, as silly as it sounds, I don't want anyone to air this about me. I would rather air it out myself. Because I know that it's silly, but people like to use things like that against you. Oh, she's dyslexic, she couldn't read. Blah, blah. So I said, I just own it myself. I'll just say it myself. I've been teased about it all my life, nearly all my life, all my child life. So I might as well just own it and live it and breathe it. So I said it, and I think a lot of people were shocked. Even until this day, sometimes I get messages from people like, I'm dyslexic, you inspired me to go for whatever they want to go for in life. Dyslexia doesn't hold you back from doing anything you want to do. A lot of people think when they hear dyslexia, it means you can't read, you can't write, and you're dumb. It doesn't mean that at all. It just means that you think about things in a completely different way to how other people think about things. And I just wanted it to be a topic of discussion. I didn't want my story just to be about looks and long legs. I actually wanted some meat to me, and I felt like that was a good thing to just put out there and say, I'm dyslexic as well. I've struggled with it. It's been hard.
Yeah. And then obviously after your whole Britain's Next Top Model experience,
yes,
your popularity did see you invited back to compete in America's Next Top Model. How did you find the transition from British reality television to American reality television?
First of all, I will say that America's Next Top Model reality TV situation is much more exciting. However, I wasn't in the right frame of mind to be on that show, to be honest. And I'm sure they were aware of it because they do psychiatric tests on you. And I'm sure I showed elements of depression, clinical depression at that. But they still allowed me to go on the show anyway. So I can't really give too much detail in terms of America's Next Top Model, only because I wasn't in the right frame of mind, so I didn't enjoy it to the fullest, basically. So I can only give it to you from a depressive state. It was a lot of fun. They plan out things a lot better in terms of drama, tasks, photo shoot, everything. because obviously they are the originators to the actual franchise. But I just didn't enjoy it that much.
Yeah, and you once again you became a front runner on that show,
Yes,
and I think you might be the latest person to ever quit the competition. When there was
yes.
only 2 episodes remaining until the final. So I mean, you've touched on it a little bit already, but could you just explain like the thought process behind it?
In terms of me walking from America's Next Top Model, I actually told them that I wanted to walk from earlier on in that day. It was an ongoing thing. They were like, "No, Alicia, you're fine, you're fine." I said, "No, I'm going to have a nervous breakdown. Like, I don't feel like myself." And the fact that they ignored that hurts my feelings until this day, because I just cried. You guys just saw me crying, whatever, on the show, but there was a lot of things that happened before that were dangerous not only to myself but to other people as well. And it's something that they should have just took into consideration. But obviously I'm older now and I realise that they have a show to produce and money is more important than anyone's mental health. So I don't know why I expected them to care. But I walked because I just didn't feel like I wanted to be there anymore. 2, I felt like Ebony deserved to stay more than I did, because she really wanted to be a model, and I knew that because we were really close, and I just felt like they wasn't taking into consideration my thoughts and my feelings and my emotions at that time. I'd asked to speak to my mum 2 weeks prior, and every week they would tell me that the phone's not working or something. And if I was able to speak to my mother and my family, I think I would have probably stayed. And to be honest with you, I think I probably would have won, but I wasn't able to do that. Again, when they do the psychological test on you, they ask you what is your kryptonite. And my kryptonite is my mum. So the fact that and I told them that. So the fact that they took that away from me, I think they were trying to see, like on Britain's Next Top Model, I was so lively and I had such a big personality.
Mm-hmm.
And I think sometimes reality TV is a social experiment as well as a TV show, and as well as entertainment, to see how they can break someone or break someone's spirit. How does it work? Because if you're really going on reality TV, why do you have to have a psychiatric test before you go on it? Like, surely when the producers meet you, they'll know, like, okay, maybe this girl's not really for us or whatever. I'm sure they will argue me down, but the questions that are asked are too deep for just fashion, clothes, and photo shoots. I feel like there's a hidden agenda on how do we break a spirit, and then at the end build them up and make them win, and then show everyone, look, even though you go through the struggle and you cry and you're depressed and you don't want to be here anymore, you can win. Like, come on, that's not the reality of a lot of people's real lives. Do you know what I mean? And it was just like, I just can't even put my hands on that whole situation and explain it in big detail, because it's very intense. The whole situation was very intense. Even when I was telling them that I wanted to leave, when I was standing in front of Tyra, 2 of the producers were crying because they'd never seen me cry before. Everyone on the show, they were like, you've been such a pleasure to work with. Like, out of all the girls, like, you're super polite, you make everybody laugh, and to see So Broken really hurt our heart. And in my head, I'm thinking, I was telling you guys from upstairs that I wasn't feeling. Did you think maybe they thought I was playing up for TV? I don't know. I had no clue. But 2 of them were crying, saying, "Oh, I can't believe that this is happening to you." Like, what did you think?
And I get what you mean about it being kind of produced, and they kind of get what they want from you. And you did give one of your reasons for quitting was to save another girl who wanted to win the competition, but they ended up eliminating her anyway. So did you think that was just the rules, or do you think that was done to maximize drama?
No, it was to maximize drama. Like, come on, why would you do that? Like, how mean is that? Like, I'm willing to walk. Wouldn't you just let the other girl stay and say, in the Tyra voice, you've got to prove to us that, you've been given a lifeline. Her storyline could have been amazing in the next episode. You would have seen, Ebony doing backflips and the splits and being on her head top because she's trying to prove that she wants to be there so much. Why would you take that away from her? Like, I just don't understand. I never will understand that. I don't get it. I didn't think it was fair. Luckily, me and Ebony had a really good bond at the time. So, when we went back to the hotel and we spoke about it, and I think she hugged me for 6 hours straight. No joke. I was in pieces after they said she couldn't stay. It made me even more upset. I had taken something from myself, and I also had taken something from her.
It must have been kind of hard feeling you were carrying a responsibility that wasn't yours to carry.
Yeah, yeah. And I'm young. Like, I'm mad young. And, like, Ebony grew up in the hood as well. So she kind of understands, like, loyalty is everything. And she, you know, she would try to explain this to me in the room several times. Like, no, Alisha, you're just loyal. Like, the way you dealt with that is so good. Like, I hope they show it on TV. Like, the way you just said, no, just give it to her. Like, she wants to stay. It doesn't show anything about your character. It more shows more about theirs. But at the time, you're young. You don't know. You're not thinking like that. You're just thinking, oh, I've taken something from myself that I didn't personally want anyway, and now she can't have it. So what was the point?
Yeah, and you talked about Tyra as well, who was hosting the show.
Yeah.
The show kind of presents her as a mentor to the girls, but how much did you really see of her during the process?
Tyra didn't mentor me. That's all I'm going to say. I saw Tyra on elimination and at task. Tyra didn't mentor me. I didn't learn anything from Tyra, other than put yourself first, and this industry is cutthroat, and we don't give a shit. That's the mentorship that I received.
The theme for the Top Model America was USA versus UK. Can you just describe how intense the competition aspect of reality TV is? Because the theme must have made it feel even more competitive.
Yeah, it was heavy. When we first got off the plane, I didn't even know who the other British contestants were, to be honest, because they locked us away in hotel rooms for 3 weeks. Yeah, no one told you that either. No one tells people this. I actually got a virus in my face and everything. I was rushed to hospital before the show had even started because we wasn't allowed outside. So none of us knew who was in the competition with us. I didn't know Sophie was there. I didn't know Louise was there. I didn't know anyone was there. Didn't know Annalise was there. I didn't know because we were all stuck in our hotels and told not to leave the hotel room. The first time we all saw each other was on the first episode that you guys saw when we're in Universal and we meet the American girls for the first time as well. That was the first time we had all looked at each other like, wow, Sophie, you're here. Oh, and Alisha here. We had no clue. We had been there for 3 weeks prior to that date. So, yeah, obviously when we found out that there was American girls as well, now we have to go against Americans and we're in America. So it's not like we have the backing of our country. We're in their country. Do you know what I mean? And we were convinced an American's going to win. One of us is not going to win. It's bait. When we started living in the house together, it kind of wore off. And I think the producers hated that. We ended up being friends the majority of the time. Even though we would argue, we would have so much argument, we would always make up. We would always be cool. The American girls were cool as hell. We bonded. It was like a big house with just all friends. That we hadn't seen each other for a long time, so we had to reintroduce ourselves to each other and get to know what each other likes and doesn't like. We got on. Ebony was my best friend in the show, and she's from the American side. So it just goes to show.
Yeah. After the show kind of ended, what was the aftercare that you received like?
I didn't receive any aftercare in America's or Britain's Next Top Model, none at all. And I was told that, if I ever was to discuss the hurt or the pain that I had gone through, no one would believe me anyway. And I was ungrateful for all the things that I had received in the show. And, I should just carry on and live my normal life. After I've just been put in the public for nearly 6 months, I should now just go on the street and just live my normal life and just, act like nothing happened.
Wow.
I received absolutely not one drop of aftercare. Britain on America's Next Top Model don't know if I'm alive, dead, living. They have no clue. You know what? Anyone that comes in the final should receive aftercare. Because when you are eliminated earlier on in the show, it is easier to sort of, go back into normal life and, maybe if you want to go back to work, maybe you can, maybe you can't, I don't know, but maybe you can. It's an easier transition, because you came out quite early and stuff like that. But I think once you get to top 6, when there's 6 girls in the competition left, those 6 girls need aftercare. The transition is way deeper than people think. Even down to getting a job is hard. You have people that want to employ you just because you were on the show and use you for that, or you have people that do not want to employ you at all because they don't want the attention of the show. So either way, you can't live. You also have people, which I have experienced, inviting you in for interviews just to meet you and still not offer you the job. So there is a lot of things that are different. Remember, we have, in the shows, we have runners and stuff like that, people that look after us and stuff, wake us up in the morning. When you go home, we don't have that no more. So you have to, it's like 3 solid months of that. Even for the final 3, it's more than that, 6 months. 6 months of solid people planning your life, telling you what to do, sometimes telling you what to wear, telling you how your hair and your makeup should be. You don't think about nothing. Can you imagine having to adjust now? And not only are you adjusting, you're around your true family and friends. For them, it's a huge adjustment as well. Because now you're not just Alisha, you're Alisha that everybody else knows. I'll be walking Westwood with my mum, people screaming. Mum was like, what the hell's going on? I can't go anywhere. There was a point where I couldn't go anywhere with my little brother because he was so small at the time. I didn't want anyone like chasing after me and then he has to run and stuff like that. It was a lot. So it's not only the contestants that need aftercare, it's the families as well.
I want to talk about the challenge in America's Next Top Model where you had to do fake commercials, and there was a focus group that were deciding who did well and who didn't. Now, it was very obvious from watching that they did not like certain people because of the colour of their skin. I think one comment was something like, for you, it was, I did not like the African accent.
Yeah.
What were your thoughts on this when this was happening, when you were living it in the moment?
You know what, right? I don't know how to describe this. When they had that focus group and they made those comments of, I didn't understand her African accent and she looks like she should be selling chicken, I said someone had to have told that man what to say. Because if he doesn't know that that's racist, then I can't help him, to be honest. Like, there's no point in me getting mad and upset from a parrot because you were told to say that and you said it on national TV. Then you think that, you know what, that could be offensive not only to her but to a community. Why does it look like I should be selling chicken because I'm black? And what is African accent? I'm British born and I'm from the Caribbean. And yeah, I might talk with a little bit of slang. Whether to Americans that sounds African or not is not even relevant. What are you trying to say? It was obvious that you were told to say that because anyone that listens to me speak can even hear hints of maybe patois or Caribbean in it. There's no African in my tone of voice. And even if there was, so what? I'm black. My heritage, my ancestry is African. So what is the issue? So what if I have, to you I have an African twang and my ancestors are African? And why is that an issue? Why can't we have someone doing a commercial with an African twang? Why can't we? What's wrong with that? Those would have been my questions to him if I had the opportunity to speak to him. And I think in the clip you can just see me rolling my eyes or something. Because in my head I was just thinking, these people will do anything for TV, innit? Like, that was my thought at the time. Remember, I'm young, I'm 21 at the time, and I'm just sitting there like, these people will do anything for TV. Like, they will say anything for TV. The Americans, to be honest with you, took more offense to my comments than I did at the time. Because Americans are very clear about what racism is. They're very quick and they're very clear. So a lot of the American girls took super offense to it. Even afterwards, one of the girls actually went to the producers and was like, I did not like Alicia's comments at all. Like, I was not feeling that at all. And if you air that, there's going to be issues because I didn't like it. I didn't like it at all. A lot of the American girls stuck up for me in that situation. So, it is what it is. I don't like to get into race and things like that, only because in the family that I grew up, we were always told to judge people on their hearts, not the colour of their skin. So it's hard for me to relate to these racist people. It really is. Like, honestly, and it doesn't go over my head. I'm very aware that in the industry, a lot of racism does go on, especially when it comes to black women. I think we get it harder than the black men. But I think we have to conduct ourselves in a very smart way. And if we're going to reply to racism, we need to be coming from a place of understanding, knowing that these people are ignorant. And I think the man that even said it was Mexican. So, I mean...
And look where we are now.
I mean, I was just about to say that. I mean, look how the tables have turned.
How did you kind of deal with, negativity, similar to that, how did you deal with negativity from online trolls or anything like that after the show?
I'm going to be so honest with you. I think I can count the amount of trolls that I've had, and they've always been fake accounts with no profile picture. So it's like, for me, I'm the one. Like I always say, I am the one you were looking for, because I'm going to snap your comment and then I'm going to post it on my Instagram page, and I'm going to make an example out of you. And I'm not going to be horrible to you, and I'm not going to swear at you. I'm going to say you love. Because a lot of the time, these people that sit behind their TV screens would either like to be you, either would like a piece of your life, or are really sad. And because I was a really sad person, obviously I suffered from depression and stuff like that. I didn't go online and bully anyone, but I spent a lot of time. You know, I can only imagine the thoughts that a troll has, like to go online and write horrible things to another person. I can only imagine, like, so I think it's important for all of us just in that moment, you know, give them what you want to give them what for, but at the same time come from a place of love as well, because evidently they don't receive that. That's why they have nothing nice to say. So I'll make an example out of you, and then, you know, I'll send you love and you'll be on your way, and you probably will never write on my page again, to be honest.
And I think also, like, top model at the time, when you were on it, was social media wasn't as big of a presence as it is now. So I think that probably will have shaped the reactions that the public were giving the contestants of those series compared to what people are receiving now as well.
Exactly.
If you could give one piece of advice to someone who's thinking of going on reality TV, what would it be?
My piece of advice is this: get to know yourself before you go on a show, or a reality TV show, because they're going to mold your character. So stand firm in your character, stand firm in your morals, and stand firm in your beliefs. Protect your heart at all costs. And remember, whatever reality TV show you're going on, it is a game. It's not real. It's a game. Play the game and play it good. Take a cheat code if you have to, but play the game. Remember, this is not your real life, and when you go home, that's when real reality starts. That's real reality TV, when you go home and you lose friends and people don't understand you anymore, and now you're in a different place in your mind, body and spirit. Like, that's the real reality of the reality TV. That's the advice I would give.
Do you have any regrets about your experiences, and would you do it again, or what would you do differently?
If you had asked me this about 6 years ago, I would have said I don't know why I went on that show. Like, why did I do it? Like, it just ruined my life. Now, 10 years later, it was the best thing I've ever done in my whole entire life, and I would do it again.
Really?
I would do it again.
Quite surprised by that, actually, considering what we've discussed. Like,
yeah. You know why I would do it again? Because I know how to play the game now. I didn't know how to play the game at 18, and I did not know how to play the game at 21. I was exposed, I was exploited, I was used, I was overlooked, and I was abused. That would never happen to me if I had to do it right now. Ever. It would never happen. In fact, the audience that I would receive now, if I had to do it again, would be way more authentic. I don't even think reality TV could even handle me at where I am now, mentally, physically, and spiritually. If they would want a show, they would get one. Trust me. There would be no rules for me. Zero. I absolutely know how to get the most out of these situations now. At the time, I didn't have a clue. As you said, social media wasn't a thing. Didn't know about, like, building brands and branding yourself and, you know, making sure you've got some sort of merch or something before you leave, and, you know, having that structure and stability. I had no clue. If I had to do it now, it'd be a completely different ball game. I know so much. I'm so grateful for every single bad comment I receive, for every single task, for every single photo shoot, for every single... Actually, we spoke about a lot of the negative, but I'm so grateful for all the amazing people that I met on this journey as well. All the amazing famous people that I met, like Kate Moss, Jimmy Choo, who gave me more than what I received from some of the hosts of the show. I learned so much. So yeah, I would do it again.
Finally, what are you up to now, and how can people follow you, and what's next for you as well?
Right now, I'm writing a book called The Effing Glow Up. I'm self-publishing it myself, and it will hit the internet. It's finished, but you know, when something's finished, it's never finished, if that makes sense. And it is a spiritual healing book. It's also a journaling book, so it's proactive. I created this book actually while I was in Britain's Next Top Model, so I would keep a journal and I'd write in it every single day. And I realised that after reading all the journals, I was finding myself on both Britain and America's Next Top Model. I feel like it has molded me in more ways than one. And that's why I can say to you confidently that I will do it all again, because it's given me so much character. So when this book is set to release, it's going to help so much people because it's real, it's raw, it's authentic. And not only that, it gives a chance for all of us to like reconnect with our true, authentic selves. Because being online, being on social media, we're influenced a lot. Our ideas are not even our true ideas anymore. Our feelings are sometimes not even our true feelings on us anymore. We are so influenced by things that are happening around us. And this book is going to put things into perspective for the reader, where they actually have a personal one-to-one with themselves if the book is used correctly. I'm also on social media, and I'm currently building my brand now, and I'm really excited about that because I feel like this is my true, authentic self as well. And I've just started a YouTube channel. I am Alisha White, and I'm just expressing myself. I mean, my first thing I wanted to be a documentary, but God willing, I'm putting it out into the universe, and hopefully I can find a team that I can manifest that and put all the stories, the short stories that I've told you, into an actual series on my YouTube channel for free.
Yeah, definitely.
Because I feel like people need to know this stuff, and it needs to be in a very structured and detailed form.
Brilliant. So could you just say what your social handles are, if anyone that's listening wants to follow?
So on Instagram and Twitter, I am Alisha White. I am, and then Alisha. I'm white like the color. And I'm also I am Alisha White on YouTube as well. I am Alisha White everywhere, so you can't miss me.
Behind the reality.